Terrans and stuff, I'm going to 2-base all of them, and I'm going to own them. And when it comes to PvZ, like, this is a matchup that we don't tend to play a lot, but watching Welmu play in any matchup, one thing that definitely comes across very well is his knowledge of the game. Like, he always knows what to do. Like, when we got to see him play against Huck in WCS,
yeah,
he seemed behind in both games, it seemed. Or in fact, the first game on Catalina.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about those games right now.
Right.
I remember being there. That was just,
like, micro-wise, I think Huck was out-microing him at the start of the game, but when it came to unit composition and choices that they made, Welmu, his knowledge of the game just shone through, and he managed to make it work.
Yeah, he's good enough to recognize situations where, in that particular game against Huck, he had taken early losses, but just built exactly what he needed to be able to win, recognizing like the mistakes that Huck had made as far as his army composition went. Because if there's one thing that strikes or steps out to me when I hear about this guy, and I guess we'll introduce him in the Northeast, he is Welmu, the Finnish Protoss player.
Likes to pronounce his R's rather heavily.
Yeah, he's got an amazing accent, that's for sure.
Like, if you think about the English R, that's very soft, then the American R, it's like midway, and then you've got the Welmu R, where he just drills it, man. He drills it. Interesting to note, we have a pool first. It isn't an early pool, it's a safe pool.
Yeah.
And we have a Nexus first by Welmu, so big contrast in builds here. Welmu, he don't give a he is going for a greedy-ass build, and it looks like he's going to get away with it because his opponent's going for one of the safest builds that a Zerg can do. Yeah,
sometimes Zergs can try to squeeze a few lings across, but it can be a bit tricky. The gateway being in his main base means getting anything over to a wall isn't really in the cards, but perhaps that's not his concern at this moment. Even getting his second pylon at the main base ramp, so he's keeping options open to just close himself off into his main base were he being cheesed in some way, but he'll be able to scout that. He doesn't have anything to worry about, and with 4 lings being made, there shouldn't be too much that Elazer could do that would, strike fear in the heart of Welmu.
Oh, and this probe didn't want to run, or didn't want to mineral walk through all those Zerglings, so he will be just chased by 1 ling. Elazer sending the other 3 lings immediately across the map to see what he can find, and this Overlord does get to scout. Just get to see that, hey, there's nothing besides a Nexus going up there. So what's going on in main base? Welmu chrono boosting out a Zealot here to deal with these lings, so that should be enough.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything really down there to be vulnerable. He didn't send any extra probes down or anything like that, so the lings will have to go to the main, and they can try to get to work on this pylon. This is one way to abuse the Zealot's mobility, because he knows if he goes for the mineral line, then the probes will actually be able to soften up. Really cute. Can micro here. It's like, yeah, okay, which ling are you going to chase?
Elazer. Elazer.
It's like, you chase this Zergling? Well, dude, the other ones are here. He's getting bullied, man.
This is actually very impressive by Elazer, controlling all these guys at once, and he will eventually get this pylon in.
Sick micro.
How many hits did he actually take? He took like 2 hits on those Zerglings.
Yeah, how often does the Zerg just get to walk across the map, kill a pylon, and then be like, peace?
Yeah, and nice little pick-off there.
Welmu can't even make any probes. He's like, wait for this next pylon to finish up, so he's supply blocked for a good 15-20 seconds out of that. That's a really frustrating position to be in, while Elazer has his 3rd base finishing. And I'm kind of interested to see where Welmu wants to take this game. If there's one thing that I think about when I look at the way that Welmu plays, and you kind of, you had mentioned that he does these 2-base pushes occasionally, like against Terran, but Welmu seems to be the kind of guy that sets his sights on a certain push or strategy that he wants to do, and he 100% guns for it. Like, very difficult to knock him off course. He's not, and I don't mean to say like he's super stubborn, but it looks pretty stubborn when you watch the way that he still forces attacks to work.
We can't mistake stubbornness for just decisiveness. And I think Welmu is a truly decisive player. Like, you definitely picked it out correctly there with, when he picks something, he goes for it. And we've seen that in his PVT time and time again. He's got pretty cute micro. Early game is probably Welmu's weakness, if he did have a weakness. But that mid-game zone, when he just gets an army, he knows how to control it, and he knows how to kill his opponent. We do see that +1 is on the way, with 3 more gateways.
Yeah, so what Welmu can do with this is the Overlord goes in to look for the scout, and he put 2 gateways in the front and an extra one behind his mineral line, trying to hide it, but I think the Overlord should be able to see it. But basically what he could try to do with this is, wow, even these lings just potent overcharges to kill the Overlord.
Okay. Does get it, I think. But now, Elazer, what's he seen? He's seen the Forge is running. That's got to be +1 attack.
He knows how many gateways there are.
Yeah, so good scouting, but massively supply blocked is Elazer here.
Yeah, losing both Overlords at once. I don't think he was expecting that that Photon Overcharge to come out just for that Overlord. But, you know, the thing is, Welmu actually kind of ruins what I was thinking he might go for, because if he had enough energy for a recall, like you push with the 4 gateways, you force units out of the Zerg, then you recall, and then you push again after with the +1. But he obviously can't do that without any energy now for a recall. And a quick burrow.
The Lings, they're coming for the probe. Are they going to get it? Are they going to? Ooh, nice force field to save the day. And even though this doesn't seem like a huge deal, the longer that you delay those pylons for, the less time. What happens when you delay pylons? Well, it delays the cannon, delays the gateways that are additionally added. And we saw that when Welmu put down that third Nexus, he was almost at like 700 minerals. So he has been delayed somewhat for sure. +1 attack, ranged attack on the way for Elazer. And also Burrow. I know Rotterdam would be very happy seeing this game.
Yeah, well, as a gateway pusher, Roddy definitely knows the pain of having to deal with fast burrow play from Roaches, and it can be very, very tricky. We've seen some bulldozer type moves in, you know, some awkward base trade scenarios, especially having that for the late game. If you guys missed Hyun's matches yesterday, Burrow was very useful in all stages of the game.
This push is very ballsy by Welmu, by the way, and Elazer was sending over a drone to the gold base to try and take it, but he did not anticipate this whatsoever. And I'm a bit scared for Welmu, because this looks... Oh, some decent force fields, but I'm a bit scared.
Force fields. He needs to get out of there. He has just enough energy for a recall.
But so now he has no energy for a Photon Overcharge back at home.
Yeah, defending a counterattack could be quite tricky. What does he have at that third base? He built, I'd imagine, a cannon.
He's got the cannon with the gateway
with no
wall.
Nexus cannon. That is actually pretty tricky. There's a lot of Zerg on the map for Elazer.
And not only that, the natural, if he chooses to go for that, which the Roaches are heading over there.
Oh, he's splitting up. And he still has that burrow, so if he gets by the wall or if he kills the cannon...
There is no cannon at the natural wall.
Oh! Well,
I mean,
that's...
it's a pretty vulnerable spot if he does choose to go for it, but back at home, Elazer droning up, getting ready for that muta switch also. I always like it when Zergs kind of put on the pressure, and it seems that the Protoss is struggling to deal with just the Roach-Ling combo, and then Mutas join the fray, but here, I think Welmu is actually setting himself up really nicely. If we look at the supplies as well, 109 to 109, while it's so close because Elazer's stacking up minerals here. Whoa, a Spire, now a Hydralisk Den?
He's keeping his options open, that's for sure.
He certainly is.
I think it's important to note that when you're going into +2 Blink, like naturally the Welmu is going to be willing to build a lot of Stalkers. So if you go straight into Mutas, that's really tricky. You want to trade away, like trade out your army for most of the Stalkers and then make that big switch.
Look how many minerals Elazer has, by the way. This is 2,000 minerals and 10 Mutas on the way now. One cool thing that the Hydralisk Den also, I guess, grants him is if that gets scouted by a hallucination, bam! Welmu has to start preparing for the possibility of Hydras too.
Yeah, he can... That's actually interesting if he... Well, he'll know about the Mutas soon enough, but if you, like, scout the Hydra and not the Spire, and then you're like, oh no, I need a Colossus, but that's not going to be the case. He's going to build Hydras after the 10 Mutas, so it looks like the 10 Mutalisks were only... They're just going to be like a harassment force, and to keep Welmu, you know, in the back of his mind that more could always be made. He's not looking to commit to the Mutalisks.
Okay, so one Muta does fall. Fortunately for Elazer, Blink is on cooldown, but looks like he's going to grab at least one more.
Really nice sniping on these Mutalisks, but what does he have in the main base to defend? He's warping in 7 Stalkers right now while he pushes the gold base.
Oh, look at Welmu's defense here. Very, very precise, and he's got an army on the map that's incredibly hard to deal with. And whoa, what's happening here? Oh, the sentries caught out of position.
Catches the sentries, which is really nice, but there's not actually too many units here to actually pick them off just yet, as the Stalkers should be able to, at the very least, kill this base. And like I was saying, man, if you're opening up a +2 Blink Stalkers and you haven't been attacked, like the Mutalisks, at least in low numbers like that, are going to be useless. Using that burrow there, though, as there's no observers out in the field. Cute play by Elazer.
It is cute play, but this army by Welmu doesn't look like it's going to be able to get killed anytime soon. I mean, and Elazer's so spread out. He's got units burrowed in the middle of the map, units burrowed near his gold, and so far, I mean, if he could group everything together, sure, he might have a little bit of a chance, but right now, with everything so spread, Welmu's just picking it apart piece by piece.
Yeah, picking off the sentries, though. Once he gets rid of all the force field, he really opens up the door for him to get a little bit better engagements. Time Warp Planet, so there's no energy for a recall on this Mothership core anymore. Welmu's looking to just take the game, potentially, here with this fight. If he loses all these Stalkers, I'm not sure he's going to be able to recover.
No, but Welmu, he does kind of have a superior army here by the looks of it, and Elazer's getting spread extremely thin.
Yeah.
And GG.
GG. Welmu managing to you know, in a situation where it's like he needed that next warp in, you know, if that pylon's not there, doesn't get that next wave of stalkers. If Ellis is able to clean that up, it gets tricky. Welmu was very, he was very generous with the energy usage on that mothership core. Like I don't even know if it ever maxed out on energy that game. He was just constantly moving around with it, and then even using the photon overcharge to kill the Overlord at the start of the game.
That was ambitious to take the gold base, because I felt he was really relying on those mutas dealing damage just to keep Welmu on his side of the map. And unfortunately for him, Welmu, he had no intention of making anything that was like just not good against mutas. You know, he had the sentries, he had the stalkers with +2. He had like 150 supply against 150 supply at the end there. Like, there was nothing that Welmu really worried about. And catching the mutas in the middle of the map, he sniped a good 2 or 3 of them on the way to his base. He saw where they were heading to. There was only 7 by the time they got there, so 7 stalkers. Welmu fended everything off beautifully. And Elazer's like macro management, the fact that he had like 2,300 minerals or so to spend, if he managed to get like a 200 supply flood of roaches together rather than mutas.
If he had spent those resources on just Hydralisks instead of any mutas, like he's got a much more powerful army against Mass Stalker at least. Like the Mutalisks were never going to do anything against that army. Like he didn't do any early trading. It was just pure Blink Stalker.
And if we think about that game and just take it back, like those 10 mutas, just in terms of gas, which is what Elazer was struggling for, that's 20 extra Hydralisks. And in that engagement, I'm pretty sure that with 20 extra Hydras, he'd have won.
You'd wrecked him. Yeah.
And with no Colossi on the way or Storm, already kind of tech like that, like there was nothing for Welmu. Hydras would have been a much better option. So I think it was a bit of Elazer, not getting tricked, so to speak, but he was expecting one thing from Welmu, and Welmu just powered on through.
It seemed like Elazer was expecting Welmu to make another step forward in his tech path, rather than just sitting on Blink Stalkers, which, you know, was obviously a mistake, but I guess the only thing the mutas did was they forced a good amount of warp-ins back home, but then those stalkers ended up joining the army anyway. Like, I don't think it's like, oh, I made you warp in 7 stalkers at home. I don't know if
warp
that's
in units that you actually want anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like, yay.
Yeah, that being said, like Welmu isn't the kind of Protoss that you play against every day.
Yeah, that's true.
He is a solid guy, and you know, when you're playing against this, he's a thoughtful fellow. And when you're playing against a thinker,
he's a thoughtful fellow.
Yeah,
he bring you flowers.
Yeah,
on your anniversary.
You know, if Welmu, like, if I dated a guy like Welmu and he talked like he did, he wouldn't even have to bring me flowers, man. Or
wow.
I'd just make him say really all the time.
As long as he remembers to say really for you on your anniversary.
Yeah, like, you know, guys, just go follow Welmu on Twitter. What a lovely man. And
he's a cool guy.
I'm really happy. Like, we talked really nicely about Welmu, but like, we have to remember, Elazer did really well in our qualifiers. Taking out players like Fantasy.
He took out a few Korean players, and people will talk all the time about, oh, okay, you know, delay, what have you. But a lot of those Korean players are used to playing online tournaments away from the home server, and generally, it still takes quite a bit to be able to knock them down. You know, someone like Bunny obviously had a lot of success, but the average mortal is usually not capable of doing so.
Well, I mean, Cure is the best example as of late. Like, he went through that Katowice qualifier, and he actually owned Bunny 2-0 there from Korea. He owned Snoot 3-0. Like, he owned a lot of people from Korea after being up for 25 hours. So, you know, it's not impossible. And the fact that you can still beat these guys, whoa, Welmu!
Double probe. So, what he's doing, why he's sending out 2 probes, he is looking to cannon rush Elazer, and Elazer's going for the hatch first. We talked about this on Overgrowth. He went with a 15 supply spawning pool, but this 15 hatchery means Zerglings are very far away, especially Queens, Spines, basically anything that he would need to hold this push. And if Welmu decides to commit to a cannon rush, he's going to need to pull a lot of drones out of his main base to kill it before it gets set up.
And the fact that Welmu's scouting with 2 probes, I think he is committed. Nathanias in here.
Yeah,
seeing this hatch first.
You see that hatchery, like, oh, that is... oh, he's got something... Cheeky. Oh, he's going full Galsy, man. He did not send out 2 probes so that one could cannon rush. He wanted to use both of them to cannon rush from the very beginning. And Elazer already bringing drones, and he's like, well, what do I do now?
What do you do against this? Like, I mean, like, here's the cannon. It's the first cannon.
So this cannon can protect all other cannons that Welmu warps in.
And if we think about this, guys, like, he's trying to kill that pylon, and he may eventually get one of them.
Yeah, well, the thing is, that cannon, the one that's tucked in, should finish. Oh, don't want to lose the probe. Probes are going to escape. Oh, he's locked. Okay, I was going to say, if he actually finds a way to lock those drones in.
That probe got bear hugged. Or in fact, he got drone hugged to death. But now, the cannon, first cannon's up.
Yeah, and he's using the time that he's spending to kill this one.
Oh, did you see that by Elazer? He stopped attacking with one of the drones, so the cannon actually switched. But I think...
There's too many cannons for him to stop all of these, no?
Cancel. It looks like it. I mean, 4 cannons going up. At this point in time...
Wait, okay, Elazer did build... Okay, I was like, I didn't see any Zerglings in the production tab. Like, he didn't forget to just build a spawning pool during all of that.
He let the hatchery go up, correct?
Yeah, the hatchery finished up. He didn't start any leads, though. The drone... One of the drones escaped. Nothing else should be able to slip out of here.
Going for an expo over here, of all places. Wow. So, I mean, what a crazy cannon rush by Welmu.
Yeah, Welmu's probe should just go on the hunt and try to find where that drone went. He's going to check the potential 4th base, check the 3rd base most likely, and then where do you think he'll check next? He does, I feel like it's important for him to find that. Like, if he can in that, then you've got the Zerg locked in. Actually, these lanes might be able to just run to the right and get out.
I think they will. And this probe is heading to the main. He's going to click on this gas and find out how much gas his opponent has mined.
Not a lot.
Sees that speed is not being researched. Also, I guess if he did click on the gas, he got to see that, yeah, I mean, there's a reason for that. There's not enough gas.
Well, he's got a nice setup back home already. Welmu taking his expansion. Elazer, you know, even if he tries to just play normally with this base that's been displaced, he will have a rough time defending it from any pressure later on in this game. But also, even just building drones out of his main and rallying them to that, like, it's going to take a while.
This is really problematic for a lot of reasons. I mean, all the drones that he pulled to try and kill that cannon rush, that is time wasted. He lost maybe just 2 drones to the cannons, which was cool. Like, it wasn't too bad for him. Whoa, the fact that he doesn't see those rocks yet, he will have to see them.
I mean, the cybernetics core should open the vision up there.
Annoying, though, because what kind of ranged unit will he have? In fact, I guess a mothership core.
Yeah, you could build another cannon.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
What I'm really interested to know is what Elazer does out of this, because I guess he could just go straight for roaches and try to play standard, but it's going to be very, very difficult, I imagine, to take more bases as Welmu gets a warp gate and should probably begin pressuring like he wanted to do in the last game.
I love seeing smart cannon rushers using the terrain that they're working with.
Yeah.
Like, that was just...
That's not a cannon rush that I've seen on this map. I haven't seen too many cannon rushes on Deadwing, but most of the time, you know, you try to put it on the mineral line and just be annoying. But this was a very expensive cannon rush, important to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, I mean, most cannon rushes are expensive if they drone pull right, but he decided to go for a cannon rush that inevitably was going to work, right?
Yeah.
With this cage, like, it was going to work. So, you know, some of these cannon rushes that fail can be kind of cheap in comparison, but okay, so he's still scouting here with this probe, trying to get information, doesn't really get to see... I guess he didn't get to see speed being done with that probe, if he's going to take anything away from that. Got to see a lair too, wow, okay.
Yeah, knowing that the lair is coming in, so, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? Roach speed is pretty normal. We saw there's also the option to get Roach Burrow move later on.
Is Elazer going for these cannons outside his base here? I mean, he's gathered together quite a few units. Or is he just bypassing them?
I guess he's trying to run around. 3 cannons is really rough. Like, the amount of free damage he just took, too.
Roach speed on the way, so very early Roach speed. Like, the really sad thing for Elazer here, look at the drone count. It's 27 to 36. And Welmu, he's doing the appropriate thing here. He's adding on 3 more gateways. Warp gates almost done. And what's good against Stalkers? I mean, what's good against Roaches? It's Stalkers. Gave away the answer there, Nathanius.
Good job, Muslim. You know, at the end of the day, if we look at what this is on paper, it's a 2-base Zerg versus a 2-base Protoss. And no Zerg is happy in that position. Without anything like a Nidus network or even drops to do something cheesy.
These expansions down the left side of the map too, by the way.
He's just in trouble. Yeah, that is actually really, really close to where Welmu's base is.
Potent overcharge as well. What is this? What is this? Okay.
The Hallucinate Oracle came very close to seeing that.
Oh, very early Hydralisk stem, by the way, despite only being on 2 gases, but his gas did mount up pretty highly. And look, he's forcing out so many spores.
Talk about a cost-effective hallucination.
Yeah, and I mean, upon seeing how much damage it's taking, he might cancel them. But it's one of those moments where it's like, man, I'd feel really stupid if I cancelled these, then like DTs or a real Oracle wandered into my base. Whoa, using the forward warp in.
Yeah, those cannons, man. I don't think he was anticipating that. He's like, well, it should be attacked from the front. He's like, no, actually, dude, I could just warp in right there next to your main base.
So Welmu's got defense on lockdown. He can also harass anytime he wants with these offensive 3.
You were talking about the difficulty that he was. He's like, I'm building a pylon next to your base. I don't even realize it. But you were talking about this to Muslim. He doesn't have that many drones. Even killing just these 4. Anything else he gets, this is just cash money.
Very much so. 6 drones dead. He's gonna cancel this base as well. And oh, these 3 cannons have caused him so much trouble. Even just rallying outside of his own base becomes problematic.
Yeah, what a wild game. Welmu just kind of bullying Elazer, it seems. And these roaches with speed are going to rush up. Ooh. Picks off
nice
almost a sentry.
Fire.
Okay, there we go. Now he's starting to get to work on these bad boys. Popping the Guardian Shield. I mean, there's not a lot of stalkers, so killing the roaches is quite difficult.
I liked that focus fire from Elazer. Wow, is he leaving that up?
He needs more firepower. He's got Immortals coming out, though, which should be more than enough to handle roaches.
Lots of Immortals. So this is going to turn into a standard Immortal all-in by the looks of it. But this game started anything but standard. A cannon rush, a caged-in cannon rush at that. I feel that Welmu single-handedly has made Deadwing a scary, scary place for Zergs in the future on ladder.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, any Protosses that are watching this right now, just go do this to people who won't suspect it. Trust me, you'll have a lot of fun. I'm sure any Zergs watching this are like, well, I'm just going to veto Deadwing for, a day or
like,
two.
Whenever I off-race now on this map, I'm going to be like, yeah, I kind of feel like cannon rushing, man.
It's like, oh, with 3 pylons, I can just do that. Oh.
Sick. So a few Zealots do run into the main. Gets to see that a good 12 supply is waiting around there. And, oh, man, with an army like this on the field, like, Elazer's doing the right thing. Oh, that was nice, picking down these rocks. So,
yeah, but he's got Immortals, man. These rocks won't last long.
No, they won't, but I mean,
a little bit of time.
Yeah, buying yourself 10 seconds is still buying yourself 10 seconds. And one of the things that, oh, look at these Hydras on the high ground. That's kind of cute. But,
yeah, I mean, he's got vision. The Mothership Core is here, so...
Yeah, it was cute, and I mean, the fact that he's buying Hydras, they're pretty decent against this army, but I feel it's...
He doesn't have a lot of Hydras. That's the rough part there. Hallucinates a Colossus. I guess that gives vision. Actually, that safely gives vision.
Yeah. Now...
It's actually really smart to hallucinate the Colossus for that, so the Mothership Core is not vulnerable.
Hey, man, he's the Thinkatos. He's the dreamer.
Well, he probably doesn't have to do that very often. This I can't imagine too many Zergs try to hide Hydras on the flank like that. No. It's pretty cool. War Prism is on the way out now, so he can reinforce here.
Oh, I might take on these cannons now.
Well, now's as good a time as ever. You're on 1 base.
Does get some transfusions off too. He's going to even lose a drone. I mean, a roach. He loses 1, but worthy trade for getting down 3 cannons and 2 pylons. But, man, he's been limited down to 1 base now, and Welmu's army, it's a pretty darn solid army, and we see back at home he's picking up the Colossi. He keeps adding to this army with like Stalkers, and it's a very hard army to engage, especially with force fields.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that there's too much left that Elazer can do against this force, especially with a Colossus follow-up, just in case he can't kill him. Coming down on this low ground is maybe gets more surface area, but Burrow's not going to save him this game, now when there's observers.
Oh, and I mean, what a nasty position for Elazer to be in. He's down to 1 base, trying very desperately to fend off this army, but against such firepower.
Yeah, with this many sentries, he'll never be able to get all this army on top of him at once. And Welmu's just going to blaze his way through this force to a 2-0 in the first series here, Group D of Fragile Mass.